Stone and steel. What does it take to start a fire with these two things? Will any steel do the job? Will any stone do the job? You might be surprised. Stay tuned. Let's take a look at this. So just a brief walk along the shore of the lake where I'm at now. Found a variety of rocks, and I just randomly selected rocks that all look different. And we're going to take a look at these a little bit more closely, see if we can't get in and get a little bit of detail on some of them. Some of them are going to be obviously not very good for striking sparks, but a number of them I can tell right away by looking at them. They have high quartzite content. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set the camera down. I'll clear the rock of all the stones, and I have with me, and this is important if you're going to do this, that's going to be my hammerstone, a pair of safety goggles, and my leather gloves. And I'm going to use my hammerstone to see if I can't split some of these rocks down into finer ridges, because what you're looking for when you try stone and steel is something almost knife edge, maximum 90 degrees. If you can get under 90-degree edge, then you've got an edge that you'll be able to peel off some of the metal, and we'll talk more about that in a little while. But I'm going to clear a few of these away, and I'll show you some people may have trouble identifying quartz and other materials that are hard enough, and quartz is the ideal one for us in Nova Scotia. It is about the hardest material we're likely to find on the shores of Nova Scotia, and I'm going to separate a few pieces that I know to be quartz to show you a couple of examples. Granite is made up of 20% quartz, but just about any stone that has a hardness on the measure of hardness scale, or the MOH scale, of 7 or above will peel metal off of high carbon steel when struck. And that's what you're looking for. It doesn't have to be quartz, doesn't have to be granite. It can be anything that is hard enough to strike the metal and peel little slivers of metal off, and we'll talk more about how that works. So I'm going to take these stones down and show you what the quartz can look like, and we'll get to work, see if we can't getting some fine edges broken from them. These three I know to be quartz, and it's generally referred to as milky quartz for obvious reasons. Quartz can be clear, white, rose, any number of different colors, but generally it's referred to as milky quartz. This one is already broken. You can see some of the quartzite showing through, and I just want to point this out, that I have no intention of putting myself out there as any kind of a geologist. I have a friend who is a geologist who can advise me on these things. Most of this is from my knowledge and reading and trying things out. And that's probably the key to stone and steel, is to grab your piece of steel, start grabbing stones, getting a sharp edge on your stone, start striking the stone with your steel, and see if it'll produce sparks. So here's three nice pieces of quartz. I'm going to take one and hit it with my hammerstone after I got my safety gear on. And what I'm going to do with the rest of these is break them all up and see if I can't get some good edges. And then I'm going to step back into the woods away from the shore, because I want it to be a little darker, so hopefully the sparks will show up on camera. Alright, let's start with something that I'm pretty sure we're not going to get any sparks from. You can see the composite materials in here. Crumbles very easily in my hand. I can actually rub the edges off. But if it's going to work, here's the edge it'll work off of. So I honestly don't know. I haven't tried this yet. There's a good edge right there. We'll see if we can get any sparks. Nothing happening there. Try another edge. I'm not seeing anything happen at all on this. I didn't expect that it would. With each hit I crumble away the edge a little bit more. there doesn't look to be anything in there that's a really hard material. Even the sound sounds dull. So, not a good candidate, but the only way to know was to try. Here's another one. Looks like what I learned in school to be sedimentary, you know, how it developed in layers. That's a sharp edge, sharp enough to cut. So if it's going to work, it'll work on this edge. As you can see, it's just flaking away. Unless I happen to hit a deposit of something. Not with every hit, it's just coming away. Alright, again, the only way to know is to try. Looks like a fine granite. Boy, this is a hard stone. Let's see. There, I'm seeing sparks. May not be my first choice, but it's working. So yeah, that would be a good choice. We'll keep that one aside. Now this, I'm sure is just going to snap as soon as I touch it. Yeah, I'm just taking edges off. Again, another one of those layered, looks like sandstone kind of material. Not a good choice. Here's an interesting piece of granite. A lot of red material in this. Hopefully the camera's picking up, though. You can see there's quite a bit of quartz. Edges are very sharp on this. I expect we'll have some luck with this one. There we go, yeah. So one thing Nova Scotia has a lot of is granite in varying colors. Actually, I was surprised to see the red one here. But it's effective, it'll work. And if you don't have quartz, this is a good substitute right here. Now this one, I have some high hopes for. Because it is granite. See a lot of the feldspar, looks like mica in there. But what I'm also seeing on the outside is what when I was a kid we looked for in rocks, and that is fool's gold or iron pyrites. Iron pyrites has a combination of iron and sulfur mixtures in it, iron sulfide. The combination is kind of unique, and again, I don't pretend to be any kind of a geologist, but iron pyrites itself is harder than carbon steel. This alone has been used, if you can get larger deposits, I'm not sure the camera's picking up the gold that I'm showing, but if you can get larger deposits of that iron pyrites, that itself and a piece of quartz will give you the sparks you need to start a fire. I'm not seeing a lot of it on the interior of the stone. Yeah, there's a few spots of it. But I'm not counting on the iron pyrites to do the job here. I'm just counting on the quartz that's within this to... Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Look at that. No problem at all. Lots of sparks. The one flake I could get off of that really hard, dark-colored rock, and boy did it come away sharp. If I didn't know better, I'd say this is some type of chert. Man, that's sharp. I could cut myself quite easily on this. It's like a very dark quartz of some type. And for those of you who may not be aware, flint and chert, well, chert being the cover term, flint being the refined, darker type of chert, are both in the quartz family. So there's not a lot of difference except for the way they fracture. They're very hard. Quartz unfortunately tends to shatter more often than fracture in conchoidal pieces, which maintains its sharpness. And that's the single benefit of flint, I guess, or chert over quartz, is that it will keep its sharp edge longer. You don't have to keep rounding off or taking edges off in order to get a sharp edge to strike. But if you can see how sharp that is, I'm sure I could carve wood with this. I could certainly cut game with it. I could cut myself with it. I'm not careful. It is like a razor. Let's see what happens. Look at that. Wow. I think I just found my new fire starter, and it's maintaining its edge too. What a nice stone. That's going in my kit. Alright, I just wanted to give you a sample of the different ones. Let's see if I can get a piece lit of our new char off of this. This is some of the finer material. Trying to raise it up enough so that as the sparks of metal come off, that they have a surface they can land on. There we go. Well, beautiful. I hope you've enjoyed this video on making sparks with stone and steel to light a piece of char cloth in order to light a fire. It wasn't intended to be exhaustive on the subject. There's a lot more that we could have done. Perhaps in future videos we'll talk more about fire making, the char cloth materials, the types of materials you can use to catch an ember in. I just wanted to show you that it doesn't have to be flint, doesn't even have to be quartz. Granite or any other hard rock, harder than your piece of steel, will work. A lot of technical details that I could have included in this, I decided to leave out at the last minute. Just find yourself a hard stone, and you strike your steel against it. If it produces sparks, then it's what you want to use. Okay, so if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. Like the video, share it with your friends. Get out and explore. And while you're out there, take the path less traveled. If I hadn't followed this path along the edge of the lake, I wouldn't have found this beautiful spot. So take that path less traveled, and you'll find it'll make all the difference. Bye for now.